Hey, what's up there, roulette players? What's going on? I got another system here. We're going to try it with 5 different bankrolls. We're going to try to make 25% of our bankroll. And we'll have that reset point where we'll evaluate at 10%. And if we get to that evaluation point, then we'll be able to save our session and make some money. The name of this system is White Owl Express by the Roulette Master. Our first player is going to have a $25,300 bankroll. So their goal will be $6,325. However, they will reevaluate at $2,530, and then their reevaluation will be 5% if they lose. If they start losing, they won't let themselves get under $1,265. All right, so let's go ahead and we are going to place the bets. So with this system, we are going to be having, we will be having we'll be having $400 on 1 to 18. All right, and then we are going to have $100 on 19, 20, and 21. All right, and we are going to spin. That's a 17 black. All right, that's a win. Okay, and we are going to, with the roulette master, he would change it to the 19 to 36 and then take the 16, 17, and 18. However, I am not going to change it up. I am going to keep everything the same. And so we're just gonna rebet and spin. So we're up $300 now. It's a 14 red. That's another win. Now let's rebet and spin. We have to get to 25.30 in order to think of an evaluation point. That's another win. I'm gonna rebet and spin. All right. You can walk away at any time, of course. That's a 32. That's our first loss of $500. So what we do in case of a loss, what we do is we're going to rebet. And we are going to add $100 to the next set of next street. All right, and then we're going to double. And we're going to spin. That's a 34 red. That's another loss. So we're going to rebet. We're going to add another 100, but it's going to be 200 because we already got 200 on the other ones. And then we're going to double and spin. We're down $800 temporarily. That's a 3 red. That is a win. It's a $400 win. So what he would do is he would keep going until he's in session profit. However, I'm going to play it safe and I'm going to do the step down ladder. Spin. He would have played one more at full price, but I'm going to step down, and that's a 23. That is a $1,200 win. That is awesome. So now he's going to rebet, and now he can go back to base. That's $500 base. All right, and what's he at? 2,530 is what he wants. He's at $800 now. That's a 22 black. It's just a miss. All right, so we're gonna rebet. And we're gonna add the 100 and double and spin. It's a 15 black. All right, that's a loss. Oh no, that's a win. Okay, that's a win. So we're gonna rebet, and we're gonna go back to base. All right, and spin. That's a 36 red. That is a loss. So we're gonna rebet, and we are going to add another 100 and double and spin. All right, we're at $200. Let's get a win. It's an 8 red, 8 black. That's a win. All right, that's a $400 win. So we're gonna go ahead and rebet. We're gonna go back to base and spin. That's a 17 black. That's another win. So we're just gonna rebet and spin. All right, that's a 24 black. That is a loss. So we're gonna rebet. We're gonna add 100, and we're gonna double up and spin. What we're doing is we're hoping to hit the streets. That's a 15 black. That's a win though. We'll take a win anyway. That's a $400 win. So we're gonna rebet. We're gonna go back to base and spin. We're at 800. All right, that's a 23 red. That's a loss. All right, so we're gonna rebet. Gonna add the 100, double it, and spin. All right, that's a 16 red. That's a win. With this kind of money, you can reset at any time. Matter of fact, with this system, being that you're playing with such a high amount, I would set a 5%. I would set a 5% goal, and a 5% goal would still be $1,265. And then I would set an evaluation point for like 1%, which would be 200. I think it would be $253 loss. You wouldn't want to lose more than $253. I think that would be a better system to play with this amount. But however, we are going to we're going to go back to base with this one because we just won, and spin. So we would be we wouldn't even have hit that 5% yet, but you know, it's a more likely way of looking at it. So we rebet, and let's go ahead and spin. We made a win. So we're already at 1,000. We just need one more win, and that's a loss though. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna rebet, and we are going to add the 100 and double up and spin. Come on, let's get a street. That's a 5. That's a win though. We'll take a win anyway. So we're gonna rebet. We're gonna go back to base and spin. We're at 900. That's a 24 black. That would have been a street hit. That would have been a great hit, but it was a loss. So we're gonna add 100, double, and spin. That's a 4 black. That is a win. All right, so we're gonna rebet, and let's change up the rules a little bit. Let's try to get back to base. Let's try to get back to a profit session before we reset. We are not at profit session, so let's go ahead and let's just rebet this and spin it, because $1,000, we were up $1,000 at one point, so let's get back up to that high, and that's a 28. That is a loss. However, it is a little more risky, but I think we'd have a better chance of getting our money back here. So let's try it. So let's rebet and let's go ahead and spin on that loss. Let's get a street. That's a 12 red. All right. However, that is a win, so that's good. But we're not in session profit, so let's just rebet that and spin it. Let's get a street. That's a 12. That is a win. It's another $400 win, but we're not in session profit, so let's just rebet and spin. The roulette master said to just, once you're in profit period, you go back to base, but I want to do this, and this is good because now we got the street, which is what I was looking for. So now we could go back to base. All right, and let's go ahead and spin this. Now we're at $2,400. Now we're almost at our evaluation point. That is a 2. That is a win. So that is our evaluation point, I believe. So now we're not gonna let ourselves drop below 1,200. So let's go ahead and spin. Let's take the wins as much as we can. There's another win. Bet and spin. Let's just keep racking in the wins now. Maybe we'll make it to profit. Nope, that's a loss. So now our next bet would be $1,200. So if we rebet and we put 100 and then we double it, 1,200, it would be $1,300. Okay, this is our last spin. This will be our last spin. Yeah, unless we win. That's a 6. That's a win. So that's good. So now we're going to go back to base level. And spin. Now we're at 2,900. That's a 20. That is a win, I believe. That's a street win. That's a great win. So we're going to rebet and spin. That street win was fabulous. That's a 34 red. That is a loss. So it's up to you whether you want to go another one. Or once you hit your evaluation point, if you want, you could just continue with the regular bet until you drop to that 1,265, or you can go ahead and rebet and just play it out. 100, double. The smart thing to do is would be to just continue with the the base level until you feel comfortable at a time when you want to pull out. But that was a good call because we won $1,200, you see. All right, so we're gonna rebet. Now we're gonna go back to base. All right, and spin. Now we're up 4,300. Maybe we'll make our base. That's a 00 though. That's not good. All right, so we're gonna rebet, and we're gonna place the extra 100, double it, and spin. All right, that's a 33 black. All right, that's another loss. So let's see where we're at. Let's, at this point, let's just take our money. Let's take our $2,600 and we're going to end the session at this point. So let's take the $2,600 and we made ourselves a profit. And we're very happy with that profit. All right. Well, let's go on to the next player. Okay, going on to the White Owl Express with the next player. He's going to have a bankroll of $6,325, and his goal is going to be $1,582. But he's not going to, he's going to reevaluate at 636. Okay, but he's going to be using $25 units, so he's going to be putting 4. So he'll put $100 there, and then he's going to put $25 on there, and he's going to spin. So 24 black, that's a loss. So he's going to rebet. Whoops. He's going to rebet. He's going to rebet, and he's going to put $25 there, and he's going to double it, and he's going to spin. Come on, let's get a win. That's a 30 red. That's not a win. All right, so that's another loss. So he's going to rebet, and he's going to put $50 out, 25 there. That's a $50, and then he's going to double it, and he's going to spin. All right, remember, he's got a $6,325 bankroll. That's a 22 black. All right, that's a win. That's a good win. But I don't think he's in session profit, so we're going to rebet. And we're going to go down the step ladder with this one. All right, and we're going to spin. All right, he's up 75. We were at session profit, actually. That was an 8. That's a win, but that's all right. Good thing we went down there. Okay, so that's a $100 win. So he's going to rebet. And he's going to go back to base. And spin. That's a 00. That's not good. That's a total loss. All right, so we're going to rebet. He's going to add 25. And he's going to double. And spin. That's a 16 red. That's a win. All right, so that's a $100 win. So he's gonna, with that, he's going to rebet, and he's gonna go back to base. He is at session profit and spin. That's a 31 black. That is a loss. So he's gonna rebet. He's going to add $25 to the 22, 23, 24. And he's going to double it and spin. That's a 0. That's not good for anybody. Nobody likes zeros. All right, so we're going to rebet. And we're going to put 50 on 26, 25, 26, 27. And then we're going to double it and spin. Let's see. Let's get a win. Let's get a street. That's a 19. That is a street. That's a $500 win. So let's go down the ladder. And then see where I'm at before I go down the ladder. See if I'm in session profit. I am in session profit. I can go. I could go down, but let's just spin this out. Could have went down to base, but let's go ahead and spin this out. That's a 34. That is a loss though. See, I should have went down to. All right, so we're gonna rebet, and now we're gonna add 50, double it, and spin. Now we're negative 75. That's a double zero. That's not good. So we're gonna rebet, and now we're gonna put. We put 50 on this, so that'll be 100. So we're gonna put $100. So we're gonna put 100 here, and we're gonna double it. And let's go ahead and spin. Come on, we need a win. We don't want to lose money here. That's a 3 red. That is a win. That's a break even though. So we need a street. Rebet and spin. We need a street here. That's a 10 black. That's another break even. We have to get a street at this point. Rebet and spin. Everything else is break evens. That's a break even. Rebet and spin. We have to get a street or else we just gonna be breaking even. We're gonna break even. We need 19 through 27 to come in. 19 through 27 to come in. That's an 8. That's a break even. We'll take break evens though. We're just adding to our comp points. All right, that's a 36 though. That is a loss. I believe this is our last chance to make any money. We're gonna rebet, and we're gonna be putting 200. All right, so now it's going to be really hard to come back. All right, so now we're going to double it. All right, this is our last chance. We will lose our bankroll if we lose this. So let's go ahead and spin. We must get 19 through 33 to be in profit. Everything else, I believe, is a loss. Even the lower numbers, that's a 27 though, that I think saved us. All right, that's a $1,200 win, but I don't believe we're in session profit. So I think we're gonna go down the step ladder. Yeah, let's go down the step ladder. All right, that's a $400 loss. We're supposed to go down the step ladder. All right, so rebet. We're going back down the step ladder. We were supposed to go down the step ladder. That would have been a break even. We would have been $400 higher. That's a double zero. That's a loss. So now we're going to rebet. And we're going to add 200. 100, 200, and then we're going to double. All right, and we're going to go ahead and spin. Come on, let's get a street bet. That's at 0. All right, we lost our bankroll. All right, so the second player lost their bankroll. They lost $6,775. All right. Should have been $400 less than that because we messed up. So $400 less. All right. He lost his bankroll, however, but it should be $400 less. So $400 less would be 6,300 and 375. Yeah. Yeah, so he would have lost his entire bankroll. So let's go ahead to the second player. All right. This is why we test out these systems, to see which ones fail and which ones succeed. So you make decisions on what to play. You see him on the roulette master, and then you come here, and then you come here and you watch me play them, and then you make a decision from there. All right, our next player is going to have a $2,530 bankroll. They're going to be playing with $10 units. And let's go ahead and place the bets. And $10 there. All right, and that's a $50 total bet. And his goal is to make $632, so about 630 figure. All right, so he's going to rebet, and he's going to spin this off. That's a 20 black. That's a win, I believe. That's a great win right off the bat. It's a street bet, which is great. So we're going to rebet and spin. You got a street bet right off the bat. That's what you want. That's a 23 red. All right, that's a loss though. So now we're gonna rebet. We're gonna put another 10 on the 22, 23, 24, and then double and spin. He's still up $20. It's a 4 black. So that's a $40 win. So 40 plus 20 is 60. So he's not in session profit, so we're going to rebet, and we're going to stay there and spin. We're going to try to get 2 in a row to get back in session profit. That's a 10. That is session profit. All right, so now he's going to rebet, and he's going to go back to base and spin. All right, he's up $100 now. That's a 0 though. That's a loss. Good thing we pulled back. See, there's a reason. All right, and then we're going to add the 10 and double. That's a 20 black. That's a good one, I think. Yep, that's a $120 win. So we can go right back to base. Let's spin. All right, we're at $170 profit now. 24 black. That's a loss, I believe, because we just pulled that one off. So we're going to rebet, and we're going to put another 10 and double. And let's go ahead and spin. All right, we're at $120 profit. That's a 9. All right, that's another $40 win, I believe. Yep. So let's go back to base. I think we're at session profit. All right, spin. Good enough. If we're not, then I made a mistake, but I don't know. 20, that's a great one. That is a $70 win. Awesome. So we're going to go ahead, rebet, and spin. All right, we're at 230. This game is probably one of those games you might not want to try to make a 25% goal. The goal would be good at a 10% level at 250 and call it a day and don't lose 100. I'm gonna start thinking about doing more of those videos for you guys, where the higher amounts, we could lower the goal just to make sure that we make some money. Like if I would have did that with the second guy, we probably wouldn't have lost. So let's just keep that in mind. So we're just going to rebet and spin this stuff. We're at 260. That's a 25 red. All right, that's a loss. But we are at our we actually we were at our reevaluation point. So let's look at that. Yeah, we're at a reevaluation point. So absolutely, we're not gonna let ourselves lose. All right, so we already made our evaluation point. I'm wondering if the second guy, we made a reevaluation point at any time with our second player. I think we might have. All right. Anyway, let's just go ahead and let's look at this. 210. He's gonna add 60. 120. 120 minus 210 is 100 and 210. 200, 290, 190 minus 100 would be 90. Yeah. So we're gonna end this session right now. $210 profit, because we made our evaluation point, and we don't want to lose more than 120. So we're gonna end it now. All right, and that's it. That would be the end of the session. All right, so let's go on to the next player. All right, our next player is going to have a $1,265 bankroll, and he's going to be playing with $5 units. So what he's going to be doing is he's going to put 4 units here, and 1 unit over here, 1 unit over here, 1 unit on the 19, 20, and 21. And he's going to... It's going to be a $25 bet. His goal is to make $315. However, his stopping point will be 126, and he'll reevaluate at that point. So let's go ahead and spin. That's a 6 black. That is a win. That's a $15 win. So we're gonna rebet and spin. That's a 13. That's another win. He's gonna rebet and spin. That's a 36. That is a loss. So he's going to rebet, and he's going to add the $5 to 22, 23, and 24, and double. Let's spin. Let's get a street. Let's get a street. Let's get a street. That's a 36, though. That is a loss. So he's going to go ahead and rebet. $10 on there, and then he's going to double, and he's going to spin. Let's get a street. We need a street. We're down $55. That is a win, though, but that's only 20, so we're definitely still down. So we're just going to rebet and spin. Got to get back into profit, and then we could use the step ladder once we're in the profit. All right, that's another $20 win. So we're gonna rebet and spin. Let's get one more win, and then we'll step 1 down on the ladder. So 21 red, though. That is a $100 win. So I think we're in session profit. So we could rebet, and let's just go down the ladder. Go down the ladder and spin. We're at $85. We could have went back to base, but we didn't. That's a 35 black, so that's a loss. So we're gonna rebet, and we're gonna add 10, and we're gonna double and spin. We should have probably went back down the base, but that's okay. We're gonna go 30. That's not good. It's another loss. So we're gonna rebet. Now we're gonna add. We're gonna add 20. And double. And let's go ahead and spin. Now anything below 18 will be a push. That's a 10, that's a push. So we have to get a street at this point. Rebet and spin. Have to get a street win. So 21, I think that's a street win. That's good. It's a $160 win, but we're not in session profit, I don't think. I think we can go back one. So let's go down the ladder one. So that we can get some wins on the other end. Yes, we are. All right, that's a 7. That is a win. That is a $20 win. So now we're at. All right, I think we can go down the ladder again, or we can stick this out and go another one. Let's go down the ladder. All right, and spin. We're at 65. All right, that's a 24 black. I believe that's a win. It is. It's a $60 win. I think we can go we can go all the way back down the base again of $25 and go ahead and spin. Looking at, we got our evaluation point, gang. So we got our evaluation point. So let's see where we're at. Let's rebet that and see where we're at. We're at $100. All right, so all right, we're not gonna let ourselves lose more than 65. So if we go another one at 25, we'll be down to 75. We could do that if we want and see if we could get a win at base level. But if we go step it up, because we lost, we will lose. So we're gonna end the session here. We're gonna take $100, but we could go one more if you really wanted to. But we would only go. That's another way of playing, where we only do base. Let's do it. Let's do it. All right. So we're gonna go base, and we're not gonna let ourselves. So we did win. So that's good. So let's go again at base. And spin. Let's see how many bases we can win. That's a 35 black. All right, that's a loss. So that would be the end of the session. $90. We still didn't go under the 65 like we promised ourselves. So we're going to take that $90 and we are going to leave the casino. All right, so that's it for that, and let's go to the next player. Okay, and this is our final player. Our final player has a $253 bankroll. Their goal is only going to be $65. All right, so they got a very low goal of $65. All right, so let's go ahead and let's spin this off. It's only a $5 bet with a $255 bankroll. It's a 21. All right, right off the bat, that's a $7 win. That is awesome. So we're gonna rebet and spin. His goal is $65. However, if he gets to $25, he's going to reevaluate. All right, that's a $5 loss though. So we're gonna rebet and add and double and spin. All right, that's a 28 black. That is a loss. So we're gonna rebet and we're gonna add double and spin. That's a 20 black. That is a jackpot win. That's a $20 win. So with that, we're going to go down the step ladder. And spin. All right, we're at $10. All right, so that was a good move. That's a 13 black. That is a win. It's a $4 win, so we'll take it. So we're gonna rebet, and we're gonna go back down to base and spin. He's already at 14. He only needs 25 to reevaluate. That's a 4 black. All right, that's another $3 win. So we're gonna rebet and spin. He's just looking to make $25 to reevaluate. That's an 11. That's another $3 win. So we're gonna rebet and spin. All right, that's a 23 red. All right, so that's a loss. So we're gonna rebet. We're gonna add 1 and then double. Spin. That's a 28. That is a loss. Alright, so he added 2 and then he doubled and spin. He's up $3 still, so that's good. We need a win though. We definitely don't need a loss. Alright, so now we're gonna rebet. Now he has to get a street bet in order to set a profit. Okay, he's got to get 19 through 30 to set a profit. If not, he's going to be getting break evens. Okay, rebet spin, but it's still better than a loss. That's a 32 red. That is a loss. All right, so now we're going to rebet. Okay, so now he's going to add 8. And he's going to double. All right, now he has to get 19 to 33. Anything else will be a loss. So let's go ahead and spin. He's at $90 loss so far. That's a 17 black. That is a $16 loss. So he's got to rebet and spin. He's at $105 loss. He needs a street. That's a street. That's good. 26. That's a $48 win, but he's not at session profit. So he's going to rebet, and he's going to take it down 1 because he needs to make some money. He's got to get wins or at least break evens so he doesn't lose. So he's got more numbers. That won't hurt him. So he's going to go ahead and do that and spin. He needs $57 to get back into profit. That's a 19. That is a good one. That is a $32 win. All right, so we will take that, and we're going to go down the ladder again. So we're going to rebet, and we're going to go down the ladder. All right, that's a $28, and let's go ahead and spin. We're still down 25. That's a 27 red. All right, we got lucky, and that's a win. So We're going to go down the ladder again. Oops. Down the ladder again and spin. We're still -5. It's a 12. That's a win. All right, that's a $4 win. So we're going to rebet. Now let's come down the ladder. Let's go back to base, even though I think we're still not in session profit. We're still -1, but let's go back to base. It's a 14. That is a win. $3 win. So we're back in profit. Rebet and spin. All right, well, let's get back to 25 again. That's a 22 black. That's a loss. So we're going to rebet. And we're going to put $1. And double. And spin. That's a 15 black. I believe that's a $4 win. It is. So we're back in profit. So we're just going to go back to base. And spin. It's 24 black. That's a loss. So we're going to rebet. Add $1. Double. And spin. All right, 10, that's a win. It's a $4 win, I believe. We're back to even. Let's just keep it there and let's just try to get another win. That's a 30, that's a loss. So let's rebet. Let's add $2. Double it and spin. We need $12 to be back. That's not gonna help. That's only a $4 win, so we're just gonna rebet and spin. We need 2 more $4 wins, and that's a loss. So we're gonna rebet, and we're gonna put $4 on here. Double and spin. And that's a 14 red. That's a break even. Rebet and spin. It's a 3 red. It's a break even. Rebet and spin. A 22 black. That's a win. It's a $32 win. Rebet. Come down the ladder. And spin. It's a 10 black. That's a win. So $4 win. We're back to even. Let's just rebet and spin. Let's hope to get a street or get back into profit here. 11. That's back in profit. Rebet and spin. All right, let's try to get back in profit. That's a 20. That's good. So we rebet. And let's go down 1 ladder and spin. All right, we're at $24. That's good enough for me. I'm not going to let myself lose, and that's 24. That's good enough for me. You're supposed to wait till 25, but that's totally good enough for me. This is too scary of a system, so we're going to call it. And we call it at $12. We're walking away with $12. I'm happy with that. Better than losing. All right, and that's it. That was the final player. So let's go ahead and so I just want to let you know that last one was $12. So that's it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to like, don't forget to share, don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss another roulette spin. And let me know what you think. And let me know if you would play this system or not. All right. Well, thank you, and you have a wonderful rest of your evening, and have a great week.